The year of Sanji has officially begun, because after this one chapter, Sanji has proved why many of us love his character, and why many of us have missed him with his absence throughout the entirety of the last arc. Seeing Sanji do what he did, it was so in character, it was so beautiful, and I gotta give my props to Oda for doing what he did in this chapter. The writing was so good. The foreshadowing was amazing. And along with that in-character note that Sanji left for the Straw Hats, I couldn't help but smile. Even though this is sad, in a way, I couldn't help but smile to see what type of note Sanji left when he told everybody to go. That right there made my day. Hands down, probably the chapter of the week. Just for that one panel. It was that good. What sold me over with this chapter was definitely how Sanji was staying in character, thinking and calculating what he can do, along with tricking Capone and having it to where he can take Caesar hostage and control the entire situation. It was very smart on Sanji's move, along with how he handled the situation with his friends. Very good stuff there. But let's take a moment to look at a certain scene in this chapter that has probably many of us questioning right now, what the hell? Brook supposedly knows something. If you look at the beginning of this chapter, the first couple of pages, you'll see Brook start talking. He's like, Vinsmoke. Wait a minute. It couldn't be. Now, of course, it doesn't really reveal much, but the way it sounds is that Brook knows something about the Vinsmoke family, or has at the very least heard of them. So, that proves that this is a very old family, in some way, because we know how old Brook is. And so if you think about it like that, the way Brook was acting, like he knew something. He knew some serious shit. It makes you wonder exactly what is it. But I want to also take note that the way this is setting up, it does not seem like Sanji is a Celestial Dragon, or his family is a part of the Celestial Dragons. Just from the way it's being set up. It just does not look like that at all. So it makes me wonder exactly what type of family does Sanji have? Because it makes you wonder, if his family is not a part of the Celestial Dragons, does that mean that his family might be a part of the, the world government up there? And if he is, his family must be extremely powerful. Or his family must be very, very powerful in North Blue, just because of how old it is, but also to kind of venture over the red line into the East Blue, which I cannot believe I have never thought about that, or any of us probably have never really keyed in majorly into that factor, but Sanji went from the North Blue to the East Blue, and he had to cross the red line. And if you think about it like that, you're like, holy shit, and everything's starting to piece together. And what I think really made this chapter so good was how Oda threw in that flashback. That is how you use a flashback. That is how you fucking use a flashback in the situation that we saw. Because the flashback clarified and kind of concreted the fact that Oda has emphasized that there was something off with Sanji's backstory since the very beginning. Just because of that one flashback alone. But there has been many subtle details with foreshadowing, with Sanji most likely being a prince, or someone very important, a part of, an important family, like a noble family or something. And to see how Oda gave that flashback, my props is to Oda. He did a good job with that execution. That is how you use a flashback. That is the type of flashbacks I am fine with seeing. That gives emphasis on how Oda had this all planned since the very beginning. It goes to show you how good of a writer Oda is, planning all this shit out for hundreds of chapters. It really, really shows how much work he puts into his series. So my hat's off to Oda-sensei for doing a good job with that. Now, besides that, however, let's talk about Capone. Capone, he was actually kind of freaking out in a way, because Sanji cannot be hurt. There's strict orders on Sanji, which Sanji figured out, that he has his wanted poster only alive. And for anyone to kind of be able to control the government in a way to change the poster to only alive, they must have some serious power in the world government, which makes you believe maybe they have or Sanji's family is a part of the world government, not the Celestial Dragons? And if so, exactly what's their affiliation with Big Mom? Like, why is a world government noble family working with Big Mom? That is one of the biggest questions we have right now. But then there's also other subtle little details throughout this entirety of, you know, this chapter with, you know, how someone was talking to Sanji and he was like, hey, he's like whispering in his ear, and Sanji, you saw how his face went from like kind of normal to very irritated and pissed off, and he didn't say nothing. We didn't get to find out what he whispered, but it was something pretty damn bad. So whatever it was got Sanji to say, okay, I need to go see this girl and I need to go continue on with this plan just because how bad it was. But let's get back on to Capone. I got a little bit off topic. So Capone, he is nervous because he can't touch Sanji. He cannot even hurt Sanji at all. If he does, something bad's probably going to happen to him. So, it goes to prove that Sanji technically has control of the situation. Even though he's inside of Capone, inside his castle, and Capone technically has control of the entirety of inside of his body, and he can manipulate everything, it's still kind of scary when you can't even hurt or harm this person. Like, if he was to probably remove a head of hair from him, or leave bruises on him, most likely he would get killed over in the process. So, this proves that he can't do nothing, which is probably scary for Capone because Sanji's situation. Sanji is a hockey user. He can do a lot of damage to Capone since he is, you know, a devil fruit user. And I mean, also, the way Sanji actually was demonstrating with his fire when he was smoking, his freaking cigarette combusted. Like, what? Did anyone notice that? Like, there was a panel of Sanji smoking, and then he drops the cigarette, like it falls, and then all of a sudden it combust into a little small blaze of fire. And you're not gonna tell me soon as someone drops a cigarette, the entirety of the carpet's gonna burn that quickly, like that fucking fast. It's not in mid-conversation. It will not go that fast unless you have gas on the damn floor. So it makes you wonder, why? Like, how? How did that happen? There's only two explanations for this, which I want to discuss. For one, maybe Capone's body is highly flammable. That may be his weakness. For instance, if flames hit anywhere inside his body, maybe he might burn up in a way. That could be a possibility. Number two, Sanji has something different about him when it comes to terms of flames. Because we do know he can kind of slightly make himself on fire with his feet, but also maybe has something to do with his cigarettes as well. Just because of the way that panel was shown, it just makes you question a lot. Because a cigarette just does not burn that fucking fast. Unless Oda was just adding emphasis to emotions of how pissed off Sanji was in that moment. That could also be a possibility, but I just don't know. I feel like there's more importance to the way Oda kind of tied in that entire panel just for that scene. It feels like subtle foreshadowing or something to me, just looking at the way that was done. But getting back onto the big cat man, Neko. He right there, to scare Capone, it goes to show you his strength level. I mean, he did fight Jack, but I mean, to see how Capone, he didn't want to fight that guy, and he just ran off, it goes to show you how strong he is, and how many people probably don't want to fuck with him. And so, I gotta hand it to the, you know, the Neko for being able to scare Capone off like he did. Pretty cool stuff. So, I mean, this chapter of One Piece, very entertaining. I love the note that Sanji left. It was a beautiful note. Brook seems to know something, and also you have to where Sanji's kind of sacrificing himself, and he's kind of entering us into a new Robin arc, kind of like Enies Lobby and stuff. Now, it doesn't seem to be exactly like Enies Lobby, because there is very distinct differences between the two arcs' beginnings. For one, Robin was hiding a lot of stuff to where she didn't really want to reveal her true feelings, and throughout the entirety of the arc, she didn't reveal her feelings until the very part to where Luffy's like, do you want to live? And then she kind of revealed her entire, you know, thoughts about the entire event. Now, Sanji is very different, because he already said to Nami and them, it's not that I was trying to hide my past or anything, I just never wanted to have to face this again. But then he's like, it wasn't my intention to hide this and all that. And then also the way he left his message and says I'll be back and stuff, it goes to show you that Sanji's still in character. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.